Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 8, Episode 11.
Listen here, I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment. You ready, Blair?
Let's get into it.
Walk us through it.
So Nell's kids are saying that she needs to go to therapy as well.
Okay.
She says that she just needs to get out of debt and they need to stop asking her for money.
Yeah.
She said she's going to think about it, but we eventually see that she does decide to join the family and family therapy.
Nice.
So Marsau and Marquez have a meetup. This was the scene of the night to me.
It is?
Yes.
How so?
I feel like we got a lot of truth told from Marsau's side, and I was so happy he was not coddling this man who left his family. I was so proud. I was like a proud mama. So Marquez, Latricia's ex, is here. So he's talking about how they were legally separated, but not divorced. He's back for his kids and to gain closure on his situation with Latricia.
Okay.
So he and Trish got married when they were 18. Her parents passed away as well as her sister, and he acknowledges that he was not there for her. He was there physically, but he was checked out emotionally. He found out that he didn't have empathy because he had never lost anyone close to him.
I guess you don't know how death worked. I mean, like I don't even know what that statement means. Because I haven't lost anyone close to me, I can't feel what you feel. Obviously, I guess that is the technical meaning of empathy because I didn't go through it. But you know how death works, though. Like you're a functional adult. You know, like, oh, when somebody die, usually the loved ones is sad.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like it's common sense. It's almost as if, let's say, if you was to lose a loved one, you know, you would be sad. You don't have to rely on your experience to basically know how to operate in it. You can literally just be like, okay, 1 + 1 is 2. Exactly. You know?
He says that he did love her, but he wasn't sure if he was in love with her.
And I don't even, listen here, y'all know my thing. I want a main entree of what?
Semantics.
Come on, Blair. I need you to be a little bit more confident.
Semantics.
Okay, with a side of
lies.
Okay, I don't understand this whole I love her, but I wasn't in love with her to justify not being with someone and things like that. Do you love them or not? Period. Right? This whole in love thing is it's a false. It's not real. You get what I'm saying? So when people say that, they are basically just trying to justify, like, you know, like, she's a good person, but, you know, like, I just didn't really like her. So that's basically what he's saying, but it all makes no sense.
Absolutely. So he says that COVID broke them because he realized that he didn't want to be in their situation anymore. They had a lot of unresolved issues and things that they never talked about and came to the bottom of. So currently he lives in Atlanta. And he is at the point where he can't stand to see Ken around his kids all the time. He mentions Ken taking his kids to practice and Ken driving his kids to school. And it's too much for him to see. And Marsau says, so you couldn't handle seeing him as a father. If you leave your household, you're leaving your wife and your kids. Marquez says that he left Tricia and he's trying to find out how to get back to be a father to his kids.
Let's try this again. I want an entree of what?
Semantics.
With a side of
lies.
So this whole thing of this him trying to do semantics of I didn't leave my kids, I left my wife. I guess your kids live in a different part of the house or like a different place. If you leave your wife and kids, especially little kids, right? You are leaving your wife and kids. You are leaving the household. There's no such thing as I'm just leaving my wife.
Right.
Not in this situation, at least.
So Marquez thinks that Trish still loves him. And for some reason, he thinks that Ken is just a rebound.
I mean, I think Ken is a rebound, too. I mean, she's taking this long to get divorced.
Well,
I mean, I don't know what Ken is, to be honest, because every time we say, what is Ken, she give us a 3-sentence description of what he is. And I'd be like, usually it's a 1-word thing.
Exactly.
So I don't know what Ken is.
Yeah, Trish needs to give us some clarity on that.
Yeah.
So apparently Ken was putting chocolate emojis under her IG. He was sending her text messages, and Marquez actually called him, and Ken said, you need to check your girl. He feels that Ken was plotting on their relationship the whole time. Or at least when she started getting into fitness, and they kind of crossed paths during that time.
Maybe.
So his daughter has told him that a man never leaves his family and she hates him. Marquez thinks that she got that from her mom.
Possibly.
And Marsau says, you don't think she got that from her dad? Meaning, you're the one who did what you did, and now she has an opinion on what you decided to do.
Yeah.
Marsau says that you were in the household for 7 years, but at first he says you only raised your kids for 7 years. But he cleans it up basically, but essentially it's the same. You wasn't there and you weren't having a role in raising your children. But anyway, you were in the household for 7 years raising your kids. You taught your daughter to be intelligent and well-spoken. Why wouldn't you expect her to tell you how she feels? So Marquez says that he spends time when he can. He lives in Atlanta, by the way.
Yeah.
Marsau says that it's okay that your children have animosity towards you. And then Marquez talks about, well, I just don't feel comfortable with Ken being in the house. Like, I don't want him to be around my daughter and trying to talk to her and kind of take the role of a father. And Marsau says, so when she had a hard day at school, she's at home crying. You want him to do what? Ignore her? And he said, no, tell him to tell her to call her dad. And Marsau was like, so you would rather a man be around in your child's life to not show empathy and care and compassion towards your child and be there for her. And basically he's like, so you want this man to hug your daughter and tell her to call her dad. Marsau says, you know, but honestly, that's why you don't leave your kids.
Facts.
Because somebody else can come in and take that position.
Yeah.
Marquez says that he just wants to co-parent and be with his kids. What happened is what happened, but he wants to move forward and find out what he needs to do.
Okay.
Well, Marsau thinks Marquez is delusional. He is too passive in the situation.
Yeah. And
Marsau says, what you want to do is take accountability for leaving, but not the consequences that happen after the fact.
Okay.
Marquez says what he really needs is a conversation with Ken because they've never had a man-to-man, heart-to-heart.
You never seeked out a man-to-man, heart-to-heart until there was a camera there. So don't make it seem like what I really need. Listen, you've been gone for 5 whatever years it is. You get what I'm saying? So don't make it seem like now you are owed a conversation. It's been 5 years. I don't owe you nothing.
Exactly. I've been over here playing daddy, making sure they got food and whatever else they need. You've been out the house. As far as I'm concerned, which Marsau gets to, you should be saying thank you to me.
Pretty much.
So Marsau says, at this point, your interaction with him is more important than your children. The guy picked up where you left off.
Yeah.
And the first words you should say to him is thank you. He's probably paying bills. He's done a lot for your kids. And Marquez is like, yeah, he's taking them on vacations and all types of stuff. Marquez says he doesn't have a choice as far as what Ken is doing. He loves Trish. He loves the ground she walks on. He's never going to leave. And Marsau is just like, honestly, he didn't have to do none of this. He could have left just like you. And what you have to do is compartmentalize your disdain for this guy and understand that he's been there for your children and appreciate him for what he's done.
So this guy gonna try to justify, like, listen here, man. He ain't gonna leave Trish because he loved that woman. He worshiped the ground she walks on. He's a good guy. He ain't gonna leave. What was your point there?
Yeah,
I don't understand. What is your thoughts on this scene, Blair, if you want to break it down?
I just have a huge question for Marquez. Is what did you think you were going to accomplish having this conversation on television? Like, did you think you would get empathy from Marsau? Did you think that the audience would finally see your side? I'm just like, you would have been better off just leaving it a big question mark because it sounds crazy enough that Trisha's going around with this guy, not divorced, and not saying what her relationship is with Ken.
You're right.
We could definitely look at Trish and be like, okay, this is what she's doing, but I don't really know what's going on with the ex-husband. Well, now we know, and honestly, I don't fault her for nothing she's doing, except Trish, please get that divorce.
Yeah. No.
And hurry it up, too, because this guy is a lot.
No. I definitely fault her. Put it like this. Let's start with the beginning part. Yeah. If she cheated on this man to be with Ken, and I understand as we gonna learn down the line that when I think she had like 2 or 3 people close to her pass away,
her
like
parents and her sister,
back to back, right? And he was out with his friends, probably playing some Call of Duty. You get what I'm saying? Get the divorce then. Yeah. Right? The reason why I say that, I'm not saying that he's justified for leaving if she cheated. I don't like giving anybody any rope to hang me. You know what I'm saying? Any ammo. Because this is what happens. They sit down in a lounge and stuff like that, cigar lounge, and they said, well, I felt like she did this behind my back. I'm not giving you no ammunition to make you think I'm a bad person and that you're a victim in any way, right? So if this is how it went, then she went about it wrong. But her going about it wrong don't necessarily mean that she's wrong, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I just want to know where they find this guy at. That he can literally say out his mouth, I moved to Atlanta, but I didn't leave my kids.
Yeah.
You physically left wherever you was. You get what I'm saying? And to have this conversation with Marsau, it's funny he's having this conversation with Marsau and not having this conversation with Martell, because who knows what type of justification would have happened if they was talking to each other.
Right.
And I think this was the right person to have this conversation with Marsau, but at the same time, I don't understand why they having this conversation. When you talking to people like this, they see themselves as the victim. They will never get it, right? This is why they're saying like, don't cast your pearls amongst swines and things like that, because they just won't get it. He is trying to find every reason. And the thing about it is, you hear all these people basically all these people talking about Tricia's husband, right? As a mystery. We never saw this guy, right? You got Stormi calling Mr. You get what I'm saying? So there's an idea of like, oh, who is this guy? Is he like a menacing guy in the sense of like, is Tricia scared of him? Is he physically imposing? And then we finally see him. He's a little boy. That's basically what I see. I see Marsau basically talking to. It really did look like Marsau was talking to like his son, as if he was older. Yeah. As if he's talking to his 25-year-old son. So that's why I'm like, this is what the boogeyman look like. Tricia, this is what you're like taking a long time to divorce from. Yeah. And now I'm looking at you like, what's going on? Like what's going on here? You get what I'm saying? Anything else?
Yeah. The other thing I had to say too was I just appreciated how Marsau held this man accountable. Yeah. And he was not going to be dipping and diving into the rabbit holes he was trying to provide, as far as like, well, Kim was trying to plot on her. Well, you sure did move out the way, didn't you? Like, you moved out the state actually to allow this man to come in and take up your position, and you want to be mad at him for doing so, but you decided to leave and allow an open door for somebody else to come in. Facts. And I just think that he's having a hard time understanding his role in the situation, or if he understands.
No, he understands.
He's got some denial about it and wants to place blame on other people. Now, I'll tell you this: if somebody is plotting on your relationship and all this type of stuff, that's absolutely wrong. But you don't leave the door wide open for them to walk in. So I'm just kind of like, I'm honestly glad they had this conversation so that the mystery about who this boogeyman was can come to light, and he's not that scary. The boogeyman is not scary, y'all.
Actually, I think the boogeyman may be a little remedial, right? But I say remedial not in the sense of he don't understand. Whenever you run into people like this, it's not because he don't understand. Marsau is not teaching him something in this conversation. Yeah. To where like, oh, I didn't know leaving my house mean leaving my kids. No. This is a conversation of him basically trying to justify why he did what he did. He knows what he did. He knows the fact that Ken is around, and he knows that probably the only safe way to have a conversation that he's been wanting to have is probably to have it on camera. Yeah. Because I wonder what it will be if I tell this big guy who is actually Ken, like, you know, don't be around my daughter. Don't do nothing for my kids. Don't do nothing for my son. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, he's not scary. He's not menacing. Tricia, now I'm looking at you. That my attention is back on you. What took you so long to have this conversation and for you to get the divorce? And I also, if we're going to speculate, we might as well speculate too. I feel like Marquez, by him leaving his family, I think he wanted Trish to suffer. And I think that he didn't expect somebody to come in and do and provide and be that support that she needed. That's true. I think that he was like, I'm going to leave. You're not going to find nobody as good as me. And here she go find somebody 10 times better. Oh, no. And he cannot take it that somebody loves the ground that she walks on and does everything for her. Like, it's literally making him sick that he left this lady because he thought that she wasn't good enough or whatever reasons he had. And somebody came in and swept her off her feet. He's like, she does not deserve this. And I think that's where a lot of the animosity too is coming from. Oh yeah, no, it's evil. It's like knowing that someone lost their parents and then their sibling or anything like that, and then be like, well, you gonna lose me too, who is supposed to be so someone that you love, someone that's supposed to be a friend, someone that's supposed to be a partner in life. I'm gonna make life physically hard for you because now you gotta raise these kids by yourself, and you gotta get through life and the hurt of it. And I don't expect to see you on the other side. And then you see her on the other side, and not only did she get mentally stronger, she physically got stronger. She got into the gym and was like, you know what, even though I got this rage in me, right, I'm going to use it as a productive way to work out, and like this guy who be putting chocolate drops under my pictures. Yeah. So who knows?
Right. So moving on, Nell and Mel have a conversation. Nell fills Mel in about the conversation with the kids and the therapy and the boundaries that they're trying to set around money. Nell says that them telling her that she needed therapy actually hurt her feelings. She says that she knows how to care for herself, but she can't keep providing for everybody else. Yeah. She thinks that, all she needs is her money and to be left alone. And when it comes to her energy, she's just passionate when she speaks. Well, Mel says sometimes your emotional thermometer can be up. You can run a little high. Okay. And Nell says that, honestly, you're right, because I couldn't even pass my physical. Her blood pressure was up.
Jesus.
And Mel is just like, yeah, you don't need nobody running up your blood pressure like that. So it could be helpful for you to have some tools of how to manage your emotions and not to let these things kind of take over you. So that way you can be in the best health possible. Yeah. Nell feels that Fletcher is good cop and she's always playing bad cop. And Mel tells her as well, look, these kids, even though they're grown, they're still your kids. So they're not just going to leave you alone. But there is a better way to handle it that you could probably learn through therapy. Mel thinks that it's a generational difference as far as why Nell doesn't want to go to therapy. Yeah. Just the older generations, they kind of looked at it as like, oh, you must be crazy or something's wrong with you. And also the fear of the unknown and what a therapist is going to do. I know some people, some of the saying is just like, oh, I don't want somebody poking around my head and stuff like that. So those are all things that are probably playing in Nell's head as to why she doesn't want to participate in therapy.
Well, for starters, it's good to know that Mel still works for Love and Marriage Huntsville. Right. It's good to see her not talking about her life, not seeing what she's going through, not seeing what businesses she's doing. Literally, she just be at people's houses, not at her house. We seen her put cameras up at her house, but we don't see what's going on in her life. I feel like this is a passing of the baton when it comes to the cast, to where this main cast is not going to be the main cast anymore. It's a transition of, we going to now give y'all are going to be Love and Marriage Huntsville, to where it's going to be Nell and it's going to be Stormi, and you may even see, I don't even want to say Destiny, because Destiny, until you talk about your husband or your ex-husband, I don't care about you losing your boyfriend. Like, I'm sorry, I can't bring myself there. Sonny and Moses, I think we are seeing the passing of the baton, and I wonder how y'all feel about that. Let me know in the comments. But in this scene alone, I'm just gonna be short. Why didn't she just say in the moment that her feelings was hurt? I think, truth be told, it's not so much that, what's the word? It's not so much that she just needs her money and to be left alone. I think her children is a trigger for her. I think, like, her children, like, where they are in life triggers her. I think even if they did not come to her and ask for money and things like that, if she knows the status of their life and what they've been doing, I think she's going to start an argument because it's just a trigger. Like, what you doing? You get what I'm saying? Those type of things. But I think we gonna see it probably in the next scene. Dave, like, you have any thoughts on what, like, she said with Mel and things?
Nothing here. I mean, I can definitely feel where Nell is coming from. Like, if y'all just be grown and leave me alone, I'll be fine. But there are ways that she can improve when it comes to her communication with her kids. Yeah. So that way, that even though she's right in the boundaries that she wants to have, it's like you don't want to damage those relationships in the process of establishing those boundaries. You can also, have some respect for your kids, even if you feel like they're encroaching upon disrespect when it comes to you. So we're at therapy with the Fletchers. Nell doesn't feel that Chris supports her, and he's always making her out to be the bad one.
Now listen here, don't have this conversation with me in the kitchen before the therapists get here. All these times we went to bed these previous nights and you ain't say nothing. Now you want to say something right before the therapist come in here?
She probably been saying it every day, honestly.
Man, my whole thing is like, well, you need to say it better. Don't say it before the doctor get here. This ain't about us. This ain't marriage counseling. Right. Okay.
So Dr. Francis arrives, and Nell explains to him that we are trying to set boundaries with these grown kids. Okay. She finds that out information last minute, and she's the one who is left to fix the problems. Yeah. And she says that the kids and Fletcher agree agree that her boundaries are realistic. She's not asking for nothing crazy. And so Dr. Francis gets into kind of like what some of the hurdles and struggles are that they're going through.
Yeah.
So Lance says that the dad lets them fully express himself, but mom is listening to respond or react. She will shut you down, and it feels as though what you're saying is not important.
Okay.
And Nell said that she's usually saying, I told you so. It's something that I've already talked to them about. And she always is the one who has to make the decision on whether to help them or not. She knows what they're going to try to say, and she doesn't feel like whatever they're saying is going to make an impact on whatever decision that she's going to make.
Listen here, twin, where have you been? Listen here, Nell may be my twin sister. Or twin mama, who knows, right? I am the exact same way. Like, I already know, this gonna seem so prideful. And so, who do you think you are? I am. That's who I think I am. Listen here, a lot of people not that smart, right? I know what you're going to say because I see the mistake that you made, because I gave you the advice not to make that mistake, because I know what the mistake entails. So when you come to me and say, I made this mistake, I know you made that mistake because I know what the repercussions of that mistake is. So I'm going to say I told you so. I am a I told you so professional. That's why nobody comes to me. Listen here, that's one of my favorite things to do, because I told you so. I felt like, because here's the thing, I am not a fixer. I am a
preventer.
I am a preventer. I am a like, hey, flashing red lights, and now you want to come to me and try to fix the problem. I'm like, whoa, I'm not Chris the fixer. This ain't Bob the builder and things like that. I don't know how to fix it. I know how to avoid it. You get what I'm saying? But Nell, in this moment, I wish she would have talked it.
Yeah.
She was kind of shouting at Lance, you know what I mean? And I'm like, Nell, you're not doing a good job looking like you don't need therapy.
But it seems like the I told you so people are also the fuss and hollering type of people.
Of course.
I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand.
Oh, no. and listen, as you can see our dynamic, right? The reason why we holler is because we probably had to say it 4, 5, 7, 11 times.
So now you want to be heard.
So by the first time when like we said it nicely, like you take it as, oh, I don't need that advice. And then we say by the 5th time, we still kind of calm. You're like, okay, I think about it. Now by the 10th time, I'm full-fledged shouting at you, okay? Like, Well,
they go to the dad because he listens. And Nell says, so what? You don't want somebody to tell you the truth? Like, your dad's not going to sit here and tell you nothing. And
that's interesting to me right there. I actually meant to cut you off at this point.
Go ahead.
Not at the previous part where I wanted to say I told you so about that I told you so.
Well, let me just, I only got one sentence.
Go ahead.
And her point is, their kid's point is that we're fine with hearing the truth. It's just like, can you allow us to fully express ourselves before you cut us off?
I wonder, Fletcher plays a big role in this.
Yeah.
The husband, right? Chris Fletcher plays a big role in this. If this is what I'm guessing.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, everybody who's listening, right? This room full of people.
Okay.
Right? If there is such a different response or just a different energy coming from two parents, I feel like Chris Fletcher is not doing his part in supporting Nell. I'm not saying he has to be a yeller. That's not what I'm saying, right? I'm saying if it's to the point to where my kids are saying I go to dad or I go to mom because they listen to me or they let me express what I feel like we're not on the same accord then, because at some point I have to, if Blair, let's use this analogy. If Blair tells my child, or tells our child rather, that basically you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, and then the kid comes expressing their things to me, I'm just going to reinforce what my wife said and vice versa. I feel like a lot of times, especially since the last scene when Nell basically was like, yeah, Chris is basically good cop, I'm bad cop, I'm like, there's some type of unity that's not there when it comes to handling these kids, in my opinion.
Yeah, I actually feel the opposite.
How so?
Because Dr. Francis goes on to say that, the kids can go to either parent, whichever parent satisfies their need in the moment. And the thing is that it's not an issue because we as parents talk and we are handling the issue on the same accord.
Okay.
So I just feel like it's a difference in temperament. I don't necessarily feel like Chris is saying yes and Nell is saying saying no. Like, I don't think necessarily that they're on different pages when it comes to handling a situation. I just think that Chris is willing to sit there, let them talk it out, let them get their issue off, and then fully, go into, explanation or parent mode of this is how we're going to handle it.
Okay, yeah.
Now, and the example that I have is when it came to the son, I think it was last season, the youngest son, Chris, his namesake, where he was upset about like the dog and the money, and they were at the dinner table, and Nell was kind of going off and everything like that. Rightfully so, because look, you've been through a lot, you cost me a lot of money, and I ain't trying to hear whatever it is you're trying to say.
You're right.
But Chris, when it came to his son coming into the office, his son was able to talk. He actually got more information out, and he learned that his son be driving around at 2-3 in the morning just so he doesn't have to be home in his thoughts. And so he got a little bit deeper with this kid, so he knows like this is really what's going on, even though the surface is the money, the dogs, the jail, and all that type of stuff. But I actually see, because I had the chance to fully talk to you and allow you to express yourself of where you're really at mentally, so that way we can try to attack this thing from the ground up.
Okay.
So I think that it's just a difference in temperament, but I don't think that they're necessarily undercutting each other when it comes to the kids.
You're right, and maybe I'm not making my point clear. I'm not trying to say they disagree.
Okay.
I think he puts the weight of the decision on her,
and that is what she's saying.
To where,
and that probably is too much for her, because she's just like, well, why don't you handle it sometimes?
So in a way, we all can make her the villain based on her decision.
Gotcha.
So it's like we're technically still not unified.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Because you're not reinforcing what you think. You're going by, well, your mama said.
Right.
Your mama said. You get what I'm saying? Because you're not taking the weight off of that decision. There's even a point, I think she said in this episode, to where she said something like, if it was up to your father, you would have nothing. So I think she's taking on the weight, as she even said, like, y'all get into these mess and things like that, and then I have to step in and fix it.
Yeah.
So I think it's basically, I don't want to say throwing rocks and hiding your hand, but Chris Fletcher is in sometimes situation, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, that he never have to get his hands dirty.
And he lets her be the fall guy.
Exactly.
And it's just kind of like, well, respect your mom, respect what she says, versus being a united front.
Exactly.
As we both agree on this, and this is what we think is best.
Yes.
So I can see that.
Because I'm like, hey, Chris, how come, like, it don't seem like you upset that y'all paying these people rent. It seemed like only Nell is. You get what I'm saying?
And so they're talking, and Dr. Francis mentions to Nell, well, it sounds like you listen when you want to.
That is, listen here now. You weren't doing good.
And he asked the kids, like, how does it feel when she cuts you off in conversation?
Yeah.
And one of the daughters says, well, emotionally, or basically communication is dead when she does that. And he says, is there anything else dying? And they said, something inside of me actually dies when she does that. Chris says that this tough love thing doesn't get through to the kids, and now this is during the confessional, she agrees that that's not working.
Okay.
Dr. Francis said that she's making a lot of noise, but she's actually very delicate, and she's doing that to hide how delicate she actually is.
Yeah.
Dr. Francis says, can you give each of the children a sentence about something that you admire about each of them? So Nell goes down the line and tells each of her kids what she appreciates about them. And it was a really nice scene. And I think that sometimes they just need to hear that.
Yeah.
And I get that Nell wants to hold them accountable, and she wants to make sure that they are adults that are fully independent and capable of everything that they need to do on their own without depending on their parents.
You're right.
But like Dr. Francis says, you have to continue to fertilize your children with love in order to help them grow, because cussing them out isn't going to do it.
It's not.
So, but I also feel like along the lines of them growing up, you kind of created a dependent child.
That is true.
And even though she's frustrated with the outcome, they also played a part in this. And I know that's not always the case, because sometimes kids can just be however they're going to be. But if it's all your kids, a majority of them, then I think there was something in the parenting that said mom and dad will bail you out of every situation. And I think up to a certain age, that's fine. But when it comes to adulthood, that's where the boundaries need to start being formed. And I think that it's good that they're forming the boundaries, but it feels like they kind of waited maybe 5-10 years beyond that point. point.
Maybe.
But not really critiquing them on their parenting. I don't have no kids, so they're doing whatever is best for them and their family. But I think that there's a little bit of accountability that Nell and Chris probably could take of not fully getting their kids to the point of independence.
Yeah.
But I do think it was important that she said something positive to them, because people who maybe don't need to hear the positivity, they don't realize how important it is for other people to hear it and to actually understand, like, this is actually how you feel about me. Even though you're cussing and yelling, you do see the good things that I'm doing, and it feels good to know that.
Yeah. There's so much in what you just said. I agree with 100% of what you said, right? When it comes to, I was laughing to myself when she was going down each one, because I was like, she could go a little deeper with the niceness. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like at first she was just like, you're my niece, and I love you as if you're my own. Lance, you're my son. It was us two against the world. Yeah. You're my little son. I still got your dog. You know what I'm saying? But I wonder with the tough love thing, right? I wonder if it's just the yelling, right? Because I don't know if people have people do have a problem with tough love. But if she was the type to, like, not yell but still have tough love, I wonder if they would still have a problem with her. As in, if she was the type to just talk in a regular tone voice, inside voices, everyone, right? And to where she basically is like, hey, I'm not going to save your dog. Your dog is going to get taken away because it's your dog. It's not my dog. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? And then she just keep it at that tone. But I think, to your point, you 100% that they cultivated this environment with their kids, because as far as I know, I seen all of them sitting there except for the one that, basically called her a side chick. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So there is something there to where I think Nell didn't think it would get this bad, though. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? You cultivate your kids and basically give them what they want and give them what they need and things like that. But you don't think that it's like, okay, I'll take this L for this for like until this point. Now I'm okay. I help you with your dog. Okay. I help you with your light bill. Okay, your cell phone. Okay, you got 2 cell phones. Okay, I'll pay both of them. Okay, rent. Okay, now I don't understand. I don't live there. Yeah. And I think when it comes to things like that, I think the children did a good job of taking advantage of their parents. And I think Nell feels taken advantage of. Yeah. And my thing is, this whole therapy thing, as far as I know, did not come up until I said, no, you won't put your hand in my pocketbook no more. Yeah. So it feels very convenient to now seem like y'all want to now cure my meanness when I say no to the money, right? And it's so funny that in the moment you can accept my meanness as long as you get the money, right? And now that you're not getting the money, you're like, well, can we at least get a nice mama? And I'm just like, well, no, So I can understand Nell's point, but Nell in this scene did a bad job of looking like she don't need therapy. I think this will absolutely help her and help the family in some way. And truth be told, it's not so much a tough love. Now they are adults. You can't parent adults. What you have to do is you have to love them and let life be hard on them. Basically, like, I love you. I'm proud of you. Mom, can I have money for rent? No, you cannot have money for rent. It looks like you're about to get evicted, and that's going to be on your record for about 5 to 7 years. But that's life being hard. Exactly. But you're welcome to live in the basement. Oh, no. You can't live with me. Okay. No. I like to walk around naked. Okay. You can't live with me because life said that you live on the street. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what life said. I don't know about that. Life said that I'm not being tough, but I just want to let you know that I love you and I hear you and you realize I did not say I told you so. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not gonna like this nice now because she ain't never gonna raise her voice and she just gonna let life be hard on you. Right. So we move on to Latricia and Marquez. Okay, so his biggest gripe is Ken. Well, no, Ken. It's so funny how his biggest gripe is another person. Whenever someone starts a sentence like this, whenever someone starts blaming someone, you already just stop the conversation, walk away, because you're about to lose all your pearls. Right? I'm telling you, his problem is Ken. Why? Like, how come he didn't come to the conversation and say, you know what? What do you have to say, Tricia? I'll let you get the first like hit on me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. He says that Ken has been waiting in the wings to talk to you for all this time.
Maybe.
Trish said that she was going through a lot, and the person that she wanted to be there for her was not you.
Her husband.
He wasn't home. He was out with his friends a lot. So she was relying on the people who were actually there for her.
Okay.
He knows that he wasn't there for her.
Okay.
He said that, look, we were married and he got your phone number. Like, that's foul. Trish said, you know, we started as cordial. We were friends. And, you know, Ken came around in a time of need, pretty much.
Yeah.
Trish said that, he starts talking about the daughter and the things that the daughter has said to him. And Trish tells him, you need to have a one-on-one with your daughter to know why she doesn't want to talk to you and why she doesn't like you.
Because it sounds like you're just hearing the surface stuff. I'm hearing some of the deeper stuff.
Yeah. And Trish also lets him know, look, Ken is there all the time.
Yeah.
Like, he is a support to her, and this is the person that she goes to.
Yeah.
Marquez says, but the thing is, when Ken came around, we was still married. And Trish was like, honestly, that's something that we need to resolve.
Finally.
We need to get this divorce.
Finally.
Marquez says another man coming in to take care of his kids was his biggest fear, and he needs to have a heart-to-heart to Ken to move forward, not like men testosterone, you know, dick slinging contest type of thing, but really like come to an agreement and understanding.
You're right.
At this point, Marquez just wants to focus on how to co-parent. Marquez asked if she's going to pay half for the filing fee for the divorce because it's $400, and she said, "All right."
Listen here, man.
Fine.
Is there anything to add to like this scene outside of I do not think her getting with Ken on the technicality part of it was pure.
No.
I don't think so, right? But that's not me trying to condemn her or trying to make her seem like this is what you get. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, to Blair's point, is you left the door wide open. You made it hard. Now, if what was going to happen anyway, you should have still did your part and stayed on your post as the father, right? To where you can actually be in the right and she could be 100% in the wrong, right? But the fact that you don't know how your daughter feel, you know, outside of you saying like, you know, like, when I'm here, I meet up with her and I do all this stuff and she's talking to me and she says she hate me and I feel like you telling her this. She's like, I ain't gotta tell her that. You get what I'm saying? For once, she tell me that. You get what I'm saying? And my thing is, who knows what she says? Who knows how true that is? I don't know how true that is. I hear. Truth be told, I hear 8-year-olds, I hear 10-year-olds, I hear some that can barely form how they deeply feel about certain situations, and I hear some that can deeply feel how can deeply express how they feel on certain situations. Some are basically guided by the parent to say certain things. Some are not guided by the parent to say certain things. But you don't know because you ain't there.
Exactly.
So it's like, why even argue that? You get what I'm saying? Just be there. What is your thoughts on this?
My thing is, if Marquez wants the focus to be the focus, then he need to stop talking about Ken. If the kids are really the focus, then you need to figure out what you need to do in order to be more present. Yeah. And that should have been the question that he asked Trish of, what can I do, me being in Atlanta, what are some things that I can do with the kids? Can I have them for the weekend? Can they come over with me for the summers? Like, is there a way that I can, you know, be more present so that way that they have the presence of their actual father, so they're not going around calling Ken their daddy. So to me, he's just over here talking about, I need to figure out how to be a co-parent, but he's not even trying to collaborate with the mother of his kids on how this can come to pass. So honestly, to me, it sounds like he ain't really trying to do that.
No, he's not.
No, to me, it's just all lip service, and also coming to collect $200 so he can do this filing. Yeah. So other than that,
it's strange.
Yeah. Other than that, I just feel like they just need to move forward with the divorce. I think that conversation with him is futile. Yeah. Until he's actually ready to make a impact and a change physically, not just over the phone, then there's really not much for us to talk about.
And you gotta understand something, and then I'm out of here. That be careful letting people back in your life like this, because some of them are just coming back to try to finish you off. He's back because he's like, wait a minute, what I did didn't really do that much to you.
Yeah, you guys living great over here.
So let me come back and try to cause some disruption and things like that. I don't like how Ken talking to my daughter. Yeah. It's just like, you just got to be careful. So I'm happy that Tricia, in her 3 sentences she say each episode that she said, I want to resolve the marriage. You get what I'm saying? And guess what? If I understand that you felt some type of way and you probably was about to go off when he said, let's go half on it. But at the end of the day, this can be your way of showing Ken of like, hey, I really want to be with you legally, even though she's saying it's just a piece of paper need to dissolve. But truth be told, like, it's not just a piece of paper. You get what I'm saying? That's just the surface level of it. But my thing is, this is her way of saying, you know what? If it costs $200 at this point to be done with this, I got you too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
Listen, I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. I really want to know what y'all thought about this episode. We will be back later on today with Love Island UK and Love Island USA. Come back and join us. Bye.
Bye.